The Path.
The Pathbikeshop.
The show was on.
I had the biggest smile on my face.
Taking it to a whole new level.
A pitch and bike shred simulator.
You have like a angry style.
Yeah, we're called Play Hard.
We've had some good times.
Welcome to the Path Podcast. It's March 18th. My name is Tani, here with Ak.
Hey, good to see you, Tani.
So good to be here with you, Ak.
It's always good. Hey, I've got a correction from our last podcast.
Okay.
You know, I muttered something under my breath when we were talking about grip, how tightly we should hold our grips.
Yeah.
And I said it was Maverick from Top Gun who says, "Sir, I've lost the edge. I'm holding on too tight."
And then you checked your work?
And it was Cougar.
It was Cougar.
And that's how Maverick gets into Top Gun.
Wow.
And he drops his wings.
Take me to bed or lose me forever.
It was Cougar who said that. Yeah. I think later on in the movie, you know, Maverick says, "Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me, Goose."
Yeah.
But different scenes. I was mixing metaphors.
Well, you know, we take our show really seriously, so we want to make sure that we get the facts right.
That's right. So that is a
Especially
correction.
about Top Gun.
And I was thinking about
Foreign relations, sir.
Exactly, foreign relations, sir. I was also thinking about how tightly to grip the you know your bars, and so funny. Do you ever play ping pong?
It's been probably 25 years.
Okay, so I've got a ping pong table in the backyard, and one of the younger Ox and I play from time to time, and so we got into it for a little while and watching YouTube, and we saw this one video about gripping the paddle, you know, because I'm like, man, there's got to be something about how tight to grip your paddle. And it says the guy comes on and he's like, if you're whatever pulling it, whatever, he's like, don't grip the bat so tight. don't grip your bat so tight.
Yeah.
So the paddle, I guess, is the bat, right?
Because that causes stiffness and it's not fluid and quick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Same
so
thing.
when we were talking about gripping our bars, I was thinking about that.
That's awesome.
Don't grip the bat too tight, so tight.
I love these characters that are on these channels.
So that was a pretty good one.
Around town?
Around town. Yeah.
Or Bay Demo, March 29th.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Great.
Come by, ride a Gen 5 Bosch motor on a Wild.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Or a full-powered SL Rise or a
full
killer trail bike on the Occam. Really, I think, too, the OEs would be for if the Fantasy is lightweight and fast, that OEs is money.
Right.
Very fast and super progressive, like modern XC. You know, I think 66-ish degree head angle, fat tires, still really light.
Maybe, man, that sounds like a modern day geometry version of what the first gen Tallboy was. We talk about that bike quite a bit.
I mean, not to take away from that bike, but it's a flex day.
Right.
So I like the flex day for XC, for real XC, but I don't personally like it for anything else.
Right. So like maybe it's not the bike that you, because I remember, I think my PR down hawk is on the Gen 1 Tallboy.
I feel like trying to PR hawk on a flex day may or may not be a mistake.
Right. Yeah. So let's see. What have I been pedaling lately? Yeah, I think I already talked about it, but pedaling, been doing some strength training, so pedaling a push bike.
Nice.
Has been good. Yeah. So anyways, that's been good.
Any good rides lately?
Nope, just at, standard rides at the park, which are fantastic.
Dirt's been good?
Dirt has been good. I haven't been out since it rained last week. It's Tuesday, and I think it rained like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of last week. And I saw some people doing what looked like some cool rides in the Santa Anas on Sunday.
Yeah.
That was probably primo riding
I bet.
Conditions.
I rode San Clemente yesterday.
How was that?
Nice. It was dry. It was dry on the top half, and I didn't ride the bottom half because I know it's probably muddy at the bottom.
Right.
Well, I did ride one bottom trail, but there's like a little cut across that you don't have to go all the way to the lowest elevation.
Yeah.
And that was dry. So yeah, it was not like hero dirt or anything. It was dry, but it was.
Right. Oh,
but the dust was knocked down and knocked off the rocks. And
for sure.
There were some new ruts.
Yeah.
I know. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It was funny. I rode that car crash trail twice, and
yeah.
I would say both times I was kind of just riding along.
Yeah.
Or like, you ever ride and you're purposely not trying to have a judgment about your speed.
Yeah.
Kind of like riding at the pace that you end up riding and letting that be the pace you ride, which could be fast or slow. Sometimes that's really fast for you.
Exactly.
Sometimes that could be the way to set your
PR,
gear, right? But I rode the same trail twice, and it didn't feel to me like I went that much different speed.
Right.
And in fact, I kind of like felt a little sketchier on the first run, which does make sense. And I think it was like 1 minute on the second, 2 minutes on the first run and 1 minute on the second run.
Gosh,
like,
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of trip. I don't think either one of those is super fast for that trail.
Right. But just your perception of speed.
So weird.
Between the two.
Yeah.
And then
so
seeing
weird.
the reality.
Yeah. And just a whole minute of just kind of like taking it a little more careful. I don't think I stopped or like even went super slow on any part.
Right. Man.
Trippy.
It'd be interesting to see, how they sometimes do that overlay of riders on the, to see
for sure
and map that onto your perception of those two rides. Yeah.
Yeah.
I made the mistake last week after, actually, I think it was Sunday morning. So last week, daylight savings time, spring forward. And I mistakenly thought that means like it gets lighter earlier, but it gets lighter earlier in the morning, but it's actually gets lighter later in the morning and stays lighter later in the afternoon.
Right.
So
you thought it was going to be downhill both ways.
Exactly. It wasn't quite. So I only took my Tani light, which was actually a decent amount of light. And the whole ride was in the dark, and it was okay, but I was riding down a little bit more technical trail on the Laguna side, and man, light really makes a difference.
Yeah, totally.
And the thing that I was finding was like rolling up on features and not being able to sight the line, even though I know where the line is because I've ridden that trail so many times, but not being able to see it until the bike pitches down. That was, and the last section on that trail, I stopped, and then I kind of did the track stand thing to kind of peer over, let my eyes adjust, and then rolled it. I was like, man, that was exciting.
Yeah. It's funny too with that. I've noticed that when the light is low or when visibility is low, I sometimes if I know the trail, I sometimes get a little lost on where I'm at on the trail.
Oh man.
Because I usually subconsciously, I think, have these visual cues
about
like there's that bush. I know there's that blind turn with that thing after that bush.
Oh yeah.
Or like
right.
Whatever, right.
Right.
And then you don't see the bush.
Right. Or there's so many visual cues about similar trail features, and that's so interesting because I would come up on
it's partly that I can't see the trail, but it's almost more that it's hard for me to keep track of where I am on the trail.
Exactly. And so I would come on one feature of a trail, and I think I'm actually someplace else because there's a couple spots where it's similar. And so then you kind of roll it thinking you're going to be somewhere else, and your body is doing something slightly different, setting up for what you think it was, and then it's not.
Sketchy.
Yeah, exactly. So interesting. But it was good times. I am very glad that it is daylight later. It's pretty awesome. I have been getting some good road time on, these days.
Road riding,
yeah.
Road dog. But
let's talk more about shop news, and then we can talk about things that we've been writing on, what have you. So we were talking about Orbea. So we got the Orbea, and then we have Transition.
Transition demo day will have already occurred by the time people are listening to this.
You're right.
But it's going to be awesome.
It is.
And the Regulator looks awesome.
Oh my gosh. I'm just looking at it right now.
I saw it in person for the first time this morning.
Oh, really?
And it does look really good. And in addition to the Regulator looking really good, it has the new TRP Evo Pro brake.
Oh, I didn't notice that. But yes, I can see it.
Best PK squeeze ever. So good. I really want that brake. And those are out. I guess I could have it. It's on the shelf over there.
Ooh, exciting.
It's
Yeah.
very cool. It does. I mean, I love the folks over at Freedom Coast, and I'm sure they're already designing the next amazing things. But it very much decreases the need for Freedom. In other words, the TRP brake, the DHR Pro, the old DHR Evo was so good.
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah.
But for optimal lever feel, it really was best if you put on the Freedom Coast levers. Yep. And these brakes are a lot closer to what those are with the Freedom Coast levers.
Yeah, I could see that.
So,
and man, there's a couple things about that bike that really jumped out at me. 150 cranks.
Isn't that awesome?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, stock spec on a medium.
Stock spec
150
on a medium,
cranks.
150 cranks. Man, that is so fantastic.
I like it.
They should have gone 145.
You're never happy.
So 150, that is pretty exciting. You can't get the S1000s, the SRAM S1000s aftermarket yet though. They're only.
But you don't have to because it already comes with 150.
That's right.
So you can overstroke it and make it a 160 rear, 170 front.
Oh man.
So Zach was talking about that.
Yeah.
Check out our YouTube video that Zach and I did this morning on it.
Ooh, fantastic.
Yeah. The Path Bike Shop YouTube. And Zach also did the thing where he put in all the numbers and did the overlay of the two profiles of the bikes.
Yep.
And they were mostly laying over the top of each other. Like they're very close to the same bike. This and the Vala.
Yeah.
Because, it's just the natural question because we've been selling a ton of Valas. Everyone loves them.
Yeah.
It's like the bike of the week or whatever.
Yep, totally.
And it's like, okay, so both 150 rear, 160 front.
Yep.
Both about a 60-40 degree head angle-ish.
Yep. Both right in that 48 pound weight. And then when you start
going down the rabbit hole, it's like, the chainstays are significantly-ish, I think 7 millimeters longer on the Regulator.
Oh, interesting.
And that's like that, and the fact that you can long stroke it are like the
biggest differences.
The biggest things that jumped out at Zach and I.
Right.
Wheelbase is a little bit longer on the Vala. Head angle's a little slacker on the Vala, but like minor differences.
Yeah. But it didn't come with 150 cranks.
Didn't come with 150 cranks. They both came with radial Schwalbe tires, which is different from both companies.
That's true, but this one came with the Albert. Alberts and the Vala came with the Marys.
Also, this bike is light.
It's like 47 and a half or 48 pounds.
With the XT drivetrain, alloy wheels, not a lot of super light parts on it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So for that build, that's really light, I think. Like maybe you could get it down into the 47, even into the high 46s without going too crazy. Maybe.
Right. But you wouldn't.
It does have light tires on it.
You wouldn't because you'd put Cushcore back in it or something like that.
Maybe.
And maybe long stroke it. But 160, 170. I've heard that you could long stroke the Vala.
Okay. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
I would have thought Zach would have been saying that if it was true, but he doesn't catch every single thing.
Yeah. Zach, can you look into that, please?
What I found interesting about this bike is, they have kind of the SL version and the full power version.
Yep.
And they just the differentiating language that they use is CX and SX, just the names of the motors. And I think that's smart.
Yep.
Even though I still have trouble keeping those two straight sometimes.
Yeah.
But so you can get it with 55 Newton meters of power.
Yep.
And a 400 watt hour battery.
Yep.
Or you can get it with 85 Newton meters of power, probably soon to be 100, and
600 watt hour.
600 watt hour battery. Just talking about the rumored software update that they're all probably going to get.
So that'd be 100 Newton meter. Yep.
But the two frames are different. They're not the same frame. They're both called regulators, but they're not the same frame.
Got it. What's the difference?
Well, okay, so let me get my head straight here. The CX is full power?
Yeah.
Okay, so the CX has a flip chip. The SX does not.
That's right.
That and some other minor differences.
And
Also, it's actually lasered or whatever onto the top tube, CX and SX.
Okay, right. Yeah, and obviously the SX is going to weigh less even. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would think probably 3 or 4 pounds less.
Yeah.
It's got a lighter fork, a lighter battery, a lighter motor.
Yeah, everything up. Man, you could get that into the low 40s.
I would think so.
Yeah.
And then that's like, if you were getting a regulator, which one would you get?
My gut says CX because I think that's my ride fantasy right now.
Right, we're all on these be able to all go really fast uphill together vibe right now.
And also, having ridden the Vala, I mean, that thing can do, man, I've done everything that I've done on the Relay, I've done on the Vala. And yeah, the Relay makes things definitely more confidence inspiring.
It for sure smashes harder.
Yeah, and it smashes harder. So, but the Vala, so like all that to say, like a full power 150, 160 that you could take 160, 170, like, oh my gosh. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. And also I think my half power, my mid power, or whatever, SL e-bike fantasy is full enduro, personally. And my full power fantasy is all mountain.
Yeah. 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 So like the Relay fits better. The Relay half power. The Relay
is that enduro bike that really rides like a good enduro bike.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really actually adds confidence, and you can still have a little steeze. And
yeah. And it's as light as you can get it. It's going to be lighter than any full power bike.
Yeah.
Because it's just got lighter motor, lighter battery.
Yeah.
What have you. I wonder if the extender range extender can fit with that 170 or 150 cord, or if you actually need. I'm guessing you need the 250 because of the piggyback on the air canister.
Do you still need a 250 cord?
No, not with the air, but definitely with the coil.
Got it.
So, yeah. Can't wait till the 250s come in.
But yeah, Regulator looks amazing.
It does.
And
one up bar. I mean, that's
bar.
cool. It's got the one up carbon bar, with the one up dropper post.
Yep.
What are you thinking about the tire selection? Alberts.
All mountain.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's
It's the year of all mountain.
It is. I would have gone Magic Mary if they're going to go with the radial. That's my perspective.
For me, I would be pretty open to that Albert spec in the back.
Okay, now I know, I hear what you're saying.
And maybe a little bit more cautious about that in the front.
I would, yeah.
And I haven't taken my Magic Marys off of my bike yet.
You have not. Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, it's not rising to the top of my to-do list. I'll just say that for now.
I wonder how much of that is radial.
You know what, though? I also just haven't. I've been riding that bike and enjoying it, but I haven't spent a ton of time dialing it in. Like, I haven't even put it in the low position yet.
Oh, my God. You've been riding it in the high position?
Yeah. Did yours come in low or high? Did you move? Did you look? Do you know what position yours is in?
I'm pretty sure mine's in the low position, and that's the position it came in.
Okay.
I think so. Well, I don't know now because I have taken mine apart. I forget.
Tough to say.
Yeah, I forget. But I'm pretty sure I'm riding it in the low position.
Yeah.
And I have taken off my Mary in the back.
Okay.
And I've put the Crypto Tall rear with Cushcore on.
Yep.
And it's an interesting comparison. Let me see, what is the comparison? Radial is really impressive with to have no liner in it.
Just the amount of traction that you get.
Amount of traction, yep.
The Radial Magic Mary.
I really do believe that the Radial is conforming to the trail better.
Yeah. It feels like it.
It does, right? Does it sound like it to you?
Maybe. Less flappy.
Yeah. Flappy.
Flap, 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 flap.
Less flappy. And the really hard to beat Cushcore. Cushcore with the Conti Cryptodal.
So I think both contribute to traction, but I think they do it in pretty different ways.
Yes. Yes. And let me see. I like the additional, dare I say, suspension effect of having the Cushcore
Vibration damping.
Yep.
It's so the vibration damping is so underrated.
Yeah. I think like that's maybe the thing.
It's so underrated.
Yeah.
Not rolling tires as much is awesome. Being able to run lower pressures is awesome.
Yep. You get similar effects by the Radial, but the vibration damping.
The Radial, so the Radial tire is more.
No, not so much the rolling. You're right. Sorry. The lower pressure.
In fact, the rolly part I think is maybe
worse,
enhanced
in
a bad way with Radial.
which is rolling
the tire over.
Yeah, you're supposed to ride it with a higher PSI.
Right. So I think the traction comes from compliance with Radial.
Yeah.
With Cushcore, a lot of it I think is the vibration damping, which is a whole different spectrum of traction zone.
Sure.
And if you run lower pressure, that does have kind of an effect of more. It's softer, which isn't necessarily the same as more compliant, but kind of is.
Right.
Doesn't mean the tire is stretching around things or forming around things as much as Radial, but both are deflecting off things less. Right?
Correct.
Yeah. I think there is a distinction to be made between soft and like a soft due to PSI or.
I'm imagining the ability of Radial to be able to conform to the shape of the rock better than just mushing out of the way.
Right. That's what I think too.
So I'm not sure quite how to quantify
I would
that.
be curious about Radial with Cushcore.
Yes. I couldn't do it because I actually cut the sidewall at the bead, which was unfortunate.
Maybe that's just too much. You've gone too far.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm really excited to get my Vola dialed in. I want to put it in low and put taller bars on it, which is going to have kind of a magnifying effect with each other.
Yep. And I think you're going to love it.
You're going to love it. Yeah, I think so. I already love that bike. So
yep. I've adjusted to the taller bars, and I like it.
But taller for you is
much taller.
Oh,
because I used to run my bars really low.
So wait, are you running spacers under your stem now?
I am.
Okay, hold on. You've gone down a whole journey that we haven't even talked about on the podcast.
I think we might have mentioned it.
Okay, so the whole for most of the podcast era and like 10 years or something, has always run pretty much no spacers and a low rise bar.
Correct.
Okay,
and now I'm as many spacers under the bar as I can get.
So 20 mils
at least.
Okay,
maybe. Yep, at least.
Did you do this a little at a time or all at once?
I tried it a little bit at a time, and now it's like as much as I can get and still be safe.
Okay. And then what rise bars have you moved to?
I've just kept the same rise bars.
20, 15?
20? Yeah. So like whatever's been the standard these days is probably 20.
I'm going to get some 50s.
That's what I want. and then I could actually put the bar down to probably to 20 millimeters of spacer underneath and still have maybe 20 mils taller.
So what are you noticing?
I do notice the little the feeling of being more standing up.
Yep.
I do feel like that. One, it takes a little getting used to. You know, you ever see those Pedigo bikes?
Yeah.
I couldn't help but when I first started having that vision in my head.
Ape hangers.
Right, exactly. I saw some of those at the Petersen Automotive Museum. We'll talk about that later. But it does. And then I felt like, okay, that position made me feel less likely to go over the bars.
For sure.
That position, let me see. I feel like it's easier to lean the bike over to a natural position.
Oh, interesting.
So, like, and I don't know if it's because maybe you're more balanced standing up, like more of an athletic stance, ready to lay it over to the side, as opposed to being more like leaned over.
Did you ever get any front wheel washouts from not having as much naturally weight on the front wheel?
Like when I first, yes, it does take getting used to.
You had to learn to more consciously weight the front wheel.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think by more consciously, even though you're doing that, I want to say more naturally centered and balanced in the bike, even though you're like weighting the front a little bit more.
I like the idea of weighting the front wheel to be voluntary as opposed to involuntary.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, and if you don't know to weight the front wheel, maybe you need it involuntary.
But if you adjust to it, it is all the better.
Right. You can commit really hard to weighting the front wheel because you're not going to end up still involuntarily weighting the front wheel if that turns out to be too much.
Correct. And you're going to be in more of that athletic posture to absorb, to let your legs be used as suspension and the likes.
Yeah, your center of mass is more vertically aligned, and you're less of like a hinged over penduluming mass.
Correct.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
There's that thing too about again, I really know not what I speak of, but one of the things I've been trying to do, and I think I got the idea from Luke and in conversations, a little bit of watching about this foundations training. It's, and part of that, one of the things that's stuck in my head is sort of that Luke had mentioned is like you're almost walking around like you smelled something bad. You're right, kind of. And I found like doing that when you're riding really puts me in a better position to see the trail, to feel more naturally positioned.
Your head probably bobbles less.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
And so even though it feels exaggerated to me, I bet you if I were to like video myself, it would look much more like natural riding position. So yeah, I like it. So 50, maybe some of those, is that 80 that I see? Maybe not quite. Yeah,
I think there's some 60s over there
60s,
at least.
Yeah, the deities.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And
I don't know if I'd go there quite yet.
The world is definitely coming awake to the high stack, high rise bar phenomenon, I feel like.
Right. Right.
Cool.
The other thing, that combined with moving my grip in, so moving my brake levers in, moving my grip in so I don't hang over the edge anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's really interesting. I cut my bars. I had been hanging over and I cut my bars down to 755.
Okay.
And now I move my brakes in and I'm not hanging over. So this is like, I feel like this is true 755.
And you're not thinking about going back up.
No.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Other than the bars being narrower, your setup was already pretty close to mine, and it got closer.
right. Yeah. So that's high-rise bars.
That's the thing.
Yeah. It does feel a little bit more like switching the bike from side to side. There is a longer travel.
I agree with that. It does not transition from corner to corner as quickly.
Right.
It's a bigger trip, bigger arc.
But maybe you're in a better position to do that. So it's more of a getting used to thing as far as like an actual drawback, maybe.
Well, that, and it's like, it's not super common around here that you need to get from all the way leaned over one way to all the way leaned over the other in
I
like
agree.
a flash.
I agree.
But it does happen.
Yep.
And it is rad when it happens.
Yep. So, yeah, exactly. There are a couple trails that do that around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it would then like hold you back on that kind of like Scandi whip type thing, or if that's just how you need to do it.
Yeah.
Got some other exciting stuff coming up around here.
So you mentioned, sorry, before we jump off onto that, you mentioned ape hangers.
Yeah.
And have you ever been to the Petersen Auto Museum in LA by the La Brea Tar Pits?
No.
It's the Petersen Auto Museum in LA by La Brea Tar Pits. It's a big auto museum. It's probably 4 or 5 stories. And they have different exhibits. So is it Ken Peterson was a rally car racer? No. Ken Block. Anyways, rally car racer. He's got an exhibit there, but the one that made me go, and it's the second time I've seen it. Last time was 17 years ago. Is the Lowrider exhibit.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh my gosh! Like if you want to drive up there, I will go again.
Really?
Oh heck yeah! I love that. I mean, it's the Whittier Boulevard whole like cruising scene and what have you. That was right next to my high school.
Oh, cool.
I had friends at my high school, who were very into that scene. That is more. I feel like that's more my people than
I love that.
than my ethnicity might otherwise say. But yeah, so they've got. It's amazing, like the pinstriping and the engraving and the interior work. Like it's amazing, and they even have lowrider bikes.
Oh yeah,
bicycles.
Okay.
Right, and these things were amazing works of art. I went 17 years ago, and I had my sock. Blew my socks off, and Karen and we went back this time, and we're saying it feels like this is a whole new level of artistry and intricacy going on in the cars this time around. And sure enough, we went back and pulled up the pictures that I took from last time, and they were awesome. Like the cars were amazing 17 years ago, but now it is a whole new level.
Next level.
Isn't that it's amazing how it evolves. And the bicycles. Oh man, the bicycles were phenomenal.
They have a lot of that like twisted metal,
right? And the wheels, like the whole spokes,
a gajillion spokes,
or engraved, like more cutout engraved wheels.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It was pretty fantastic. So there's a lot of and motorcycles. They had motorcycles, lowrider motorcycles. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That sounds awesome.
So
I love that.
Anyway, so other things going on around here.
We are doing a beginner e-bike ride at Chino Hills State Park with
nice.
Dorothy and Don, April 5th.
Oh man, you should go. If any of you are out there, beginners ride.
You have an e-bike.
You got an e-bike. Dorothy and Don are fantastic.
They really are.
I've never ridden with them, but I can just imagine having interacted with them.
Super good vibes.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. Go if you can. Go.
Over the Hump, April 29th.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Coming up. Southridge, USA, June 11th and 12th.
So yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. We got in or are getting in any time now, depending on the brand, the new kind of spring apparel.
Oh, cool.
And that every time the new apparel comes in, the old stuff goes on sale.
Right.
So a bunch of stuff from Fox and Troy Lee and Patagonia just went on sale and got moved over to our outlet store on First Street.
Nice. Or on the outlet store.
Online.
Online.
Yep, 100%.
That's right. That's had confused the takeoff wall online with the outlet store, but yeah, you can find both online.
Totally. Also, there's another hot new bike coming in any day now.
Do you guys? Yep. Do you guys have this one?
It's any day now.
Man,
Norco Sight VLT, Gen 5 Bosch, 800 watt hour, claiming 48.5 pounds with an 800 watt hour battery, which is pretty aggressive. I mean, that's bold. That's light and big.
and with a high pivot idler, so it's got a longer chain, 800 watt hours.
And in keeping with the year of the all mountain, it's an all mountain bike with 150 rear and 160 front travel, just like the Regulator and the Vala.
That, if I were to buy another bike, that might
one
be.
has your eye.
Man, an all mountain with a high pivot idler.
And man, you could ride forever with the 800 watt hours on a Gen 5.
With a, I mean, I'm sure that'll. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that'll have a range
You
extender.
could ride to the moon on full boost.
That's 1,050 watt hours.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could do like 4 up and downs on the Santa Anas. Like, could you do like from the Black Star side up and down, up and down? That would be 1, 2,
Maybe.
3.
Maybe not on full boost.
Yeah, man. Can you imagine? That is, I've always wondered what a high pivot idler on a all mountain bike would be like. Yeah, that thing's with horse link.
Thing's hot for sure.
Man, I hope that thing does well. Cause it's a bigger version than the Regulator. It's only bigger than the Regulator because it has the 800 watt hour battery.
I think it might do well. The range VLT word seems to be getting out on those. Those are selling pretty well lately.
That's awesome.
So maybe people are starting to hear about Norco's high pivot idler bikes and liking them.
Yeah. And because wasn't there a generation of Norco bikes that had like a 900 watt hour battery?
Yeah.
Yeah, those were a little bit earlier on.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the evolution of like watt hours and power, weight.
Well, and if it's really 48.5 pounds, which is if it's true that it's 48.5 pounds with an 800 watt hour battery, could you put a 600 watt hour battery in there?
Ooh. Because the Gen
And then
5
what would that do?
probably take a couple pounds off of it.
I think at least.
Yeah, with the new, 46.5 with the 600 watt hour battery. I think I'd go with that. The size 3 reach, so the size 3 is a medium, is 470.
Yeah. Some brands size 3 is a large. To me, 470 these days is more a medium reach. Therefore, size 3. That the range VLT that I was riding, that was a size 3 when I crashed in Laguna that day.
Right. I think my fluid VLT is a size 3.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So size 3 of the 470, that's a good reach.
We like that around here.
Yeah. I think that reach is going to make that bike punch above its weight.
Having the wheel further out, we've talked about this. You and I both agree that we feel like having the front wheel further out in front of us from reach adds a stability that's hard to quantify, and it does it in a way
with high-rise bar and stacked underneath. Oh,
Well,
man, it's exciting.
having Yeah.
Sorry, I can't help myself.
Yeah. Well, as bars go up, you do need more reach.
That is true. That is true.
And but also, you could get that wheelbase from head angle or from reach, right? And I think if you get it from reach, it also makes space to move around in the cockpit.
Yeah.
Which is a real, like, if you have room to move your hips between the tip of the saddle, centered over if the tip of the saddle is behind centered over the bottom bracket, and you also have room to get significantly in front of that.
Yep.
Or really, if your seat's down and it's out of the way, if you have room to really move around in the fore aft on the bike, it really makes a difference, I feel like.
And the reach kind of brings you more towards the natural center of the bike.
Yeah.
Like the longer reach will bring you more. I mean, and when you put high-rise bars or space under the, put all the spacers under the bar, like all of these things are building on each other.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good time to be a mountain biker.
Yeah. I wonder if you could put I didn't do my homework, but I wonder what the reach on the Regulator is.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's 460 in a medium.
460?
Because it's like within like a hair of the Vala, which is 460.
Got it. Wonder if you could do range or reach it.
Pretty sure 460. I should probably check. But.
Yeah. Man, there's some really, really hot bikes coming out.
Range extender? Is that what you said?
What was I saying? I don't know.
Our heads are spinning from all of
I'm
these
just
amazing new bicycles.
blubbering with excitement. I think I am going to get some. Do you have high-rise bars, or do you just do the spacers under the bar right now?
So usually I run one up 35 mil rise.
Okay.
On my Vala now I have the stock bars, which I think are 20 mil rise.
Yeah. But with the spacer. Do you run 35 with spacers underneath?
Often.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I'm going to do the same. Except maybe 50. Just jump straight to 50. Why not? I mean, you can always, if that's too much, you can always put the spacers back on top,
If something's good, more's gooder.
That's right. I don't know. The 60 just looks too tall right now.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for a 60. I'm not there yet.
Well, we keep bringing this back. What were the Azonic double walls? 50?
Okay, let me think this through. They were 2.5 inches, which is 60.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of that was in upsweep.
Yeah, that's right. The modern days, there's
Much
way
less
upsweep, and it's all in the rise.
But the high rises on it walls, I'm pretty sure were 2.5.
They were, and it was in the upsweep.
I mean, but the rise was also a lot.
Yeah. It should bring that same.
Keeping in mind, 26-inch wheels make for a really low front end, so we were trying to fight that.
Right. Man. Yep. Okay,
And it's crazy that in that there was a time when every single bike we ordered, even bikes from cool brands, came with flat narrow bars.
Yes.
And every customer had to get a riser. There was a
Some
time
sort of
when
riser
riser
solution.
bar was the hot thing that everyone needed that didn't come on any of the bikes.
Right.
You guys got riser bars? Yeah, we got riser bars.
And that was an era where more custom bikes were being built.
Yeah, because riser bars weren't the only things not being spec'd on the bikes that people wanted.
The brake selection might have needed help.
Headset,
right. Yeah, back then, I guess the headsets, like even now, like if the mid-tier headsets are pretty dang solid.
A Cane Creek 40 is pretty much just going to work.
Yeah, and it's reasonably priced.
Yeah.
You don't have to go with a 110
or a
Chris
King.
King. Yeah.
It used to, when it was 1 1/8 threadless, you almost needed a King headset to keep your bike running good.
Yep. I still have my purple 1 1/8. It's on a road bike, but yeah, it's. Nice. I love that thing.
Yeah, I think I have a King dread set on my trials bike that is kind of a relic.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Let's see. Ooh, you have some thoughts on integrating the cockpit to make it a little.
Yeah, I keep noticing that on all my bikes that come with SRAM brakes, if they come with SRAM brakes and the shifter and the dropper post are connected to the brake master,
Yep.
the brake lever, I always have them all the way in.
Yeah.
And I would always go further. Like, it's just a little bit odd to me that that the adjustment is that limited, and that I don't think I'm that much of an outlier in how far in I like my stuff. If my thumb, if it's kind of hanging over, I don't like it to touch.
Yeah. Oh, I can't ride like that. Oh, terrible.
Right. So
It really is annoying.
So for that to happen, I almost have to reach for
Yeah.
I almost have to be. I need my levers, my shifter and my dropper lever in far enough that I almost have to reach for them.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a compromise. But I will reach for those rather than feel them when I don't want to,
Totally.
or accidentally hit them or anything like that.
Right. So that really could be one of my bigger. I try to think what pet peeves about like little things like that do you have on a ride setup?
Well, in addition to that, I do think in some cases, if you are like me and you have this issue, you can put the perch from the left on the right and the perch from the right on the left.
And it helps.
And instead of being offset out, they become offset in.
Yes.
And then it might be too far offset in.
Right.
Or you can just get a discrete clamp.
Right. Yeah. I think I do the reverse the perches, and I'm okay.
I will probably be trying that on my Volvo.
I wonder. That's interesting. It has to do with the ratio of the length of your thumb to the width of your hand.
I think it has to do with sensitivity to rubbing on it. I think people just live with that.
Are you kidding?
I know, right?
Like, if that's... Sir,
people live like that?
It's so bizarre. I'm sure, like, just because mine is not yours doesn't mean you don't have it this either, but it is... That will almost make me not be able to ride downhill. That actually does make me not be able to ride
have
downhill.
injured my knuckle from that.
Not just the knuckle, but the mental... I can't focus. Like, if that's happening, it's like... I just stop and move them. It's a bizarre. Do you have anything like that when you ride?
Well, I kind of feel that way about
that thing.
I mean, for sure, like if the grips are twisting.
Right. Okay. Let's see. What other things might there be?
I mean, there's anything that's like obviously wrong.
Right.
Is a problem.
Right. Creaky headsets.
Right. Obviously wrong.
But see, like some people can ride with way more creaks going on their bike without having it be such an annoyance.
I'm often shocked at the level of jank that I encounter. And that is not okay. So like, not a problem for the rider. This isn't the rider's not complaining about it.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Loose
headsets, totally bound up suspension, way too high of tire pressure, like all kinds of things that I see that I'm just like, oh,
yeah.
Creaky bikes, unlubed chains. Like you ever see someone ride by you on the street and you hear their chain and you're just like, lube your chain.
Creak. Exactly.
You ever yell at anyone on the street to lube their chain?
Yeah, exactly. No, but I was on a ride recently where there was that kind of actively going on because one of us hadn't lubed their chain and the other happened to be like on that side of the spectrum of needing a quiet bike. And so that was going on with these two individuals.
Oh, I can imagine. Those two fight like Ricky and Lucy.
It was awesome. And
Am
then
I picturing the right two?
I think you are, yeah. Yeah, it was great. And the funny thing is by the end of the ride, the other bike had started creaking too, so it was comedy. I'm just glad that my knuckles weren't touching my shifter. You know,
You get through anything as long as that.
exactly.
Yeah.
I have okay. So on your transmission, where do you position the pod?
Fairly low.
Fairly low.
I would say kind of like at the height of my thumb.
Yeah. I put mine really far forward.
Yeah.
So, like,
Rotated under the bar.
yeah. So almost where it's really interesting, and I think we've talked about this. Kind of doing everything you can to not have to reposition your thumb to do the
Right.
things it needs to do.
Right.
And I don't think those pods were necessarily designed to do that, but I'm like, oh man, that is the most natural place for them to be.
Right. Fairly low.
Yeah.
Like where your thumb just rests on them naturally without having to reposition.
Right. Or,
Which means rotated kind of.
yeah,
down.
like under.
Yeah.
Mine is like almost pointing like downwards. The face is almost pointing downwards.
Got it.
That's interesting. I wonder if this is, I wonder where people ride with their transmission pods. I'm going to look around when people do that.
We'll have to take a look.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It does help keep it out of the way.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. I think that might be a podcast.
I think that might be a podcast.
All right, everybody. Let's remember to love the bike we ride.